marry a man whose mother is still alive. My happiness is very important to me. My sanity needs to be protected. I don't need a mother-in-law. Hi, lovelies. Meet Vivian, the most loving, caring, hardworking, and dedicated doctor at the Federal Medical Center. Vivian worked at the Federal Medical Center and her reputation was unparalleled. There was no ailment too complex, no patient too difficult for Dr. Vivian. She is a pediatrician and she is so good with children that people called her an angel in white. For her hands healed the sick and her smile suited the broken-hearted. She is a single lady of 32 years and every bachelor that crosses her path would always want to have something to do with her. But Dr. Vivian, though admired by many, had one peculiar rule that everyone knew. I will never marry a man whose mother is still alive, she would always say. My happiness is very important to me. My sanity needs to be protected. I don't need a mother-in-law. My dear listeners and viewers, I know you would be wondering what will make a young, beautiful, fulfilled lady take a decision as bad as this. Follow me, let's see in this story. Her colleagues at the FMC often teased her about this, saying that one day, love would find a way to test her. But Dr. Vivian would only smile, convinced that her rule was one she could always follow. One fateful day, a young man named Daniel came to the FMC. His friend has been sick, so he came to see him. He saw Vivian and was love-struck. He was amazed at the way his friend praised her. He talked so much about her and how she has been so kind to him. Daniel fell in love immediately. Instead of approaching Vivian directly, he spoke to the nurse on duty with her, and it was the nurse that told him about Vivian's rule as regards to marriage. So Daniel approached Vivian prepared and determined to win her love. One thing about Vivian is this: because of the rule she made, nothing fascinates her in a man. Nothing moves her, no matter how cute or kind the man is to her. But Daniel showed up different. His charm was undeniable. His warm smile, his gentle nature, and the way he spoke with so much sincerity captured Vivian's attention. He was unlike the other men she had met before. As they became friends, Vivian did not hesitate to ask about his family, especially his mother. My mother passed away many years ago, Daniel said softly, a shadow passing over his face. Vivian, not want to pry too deeply into personal matters, nodded in sympathy. I understand, she said. I'm so sorry for your loss. I have an aunt though, he continued, who raised me after my mother passed. She is my family and I am very close to her. I do love for you to meet her someday. Vivian smiled. An aunt who stands as a mother. Well, that's fair enough. I know she wouldn't have much influence on him like a real mother would. Vivian found herself drawn to Daniel more and more with each passing day. They spent hours together, talking, laughing, and sharing dreams of the future. It wasn't long before their connection blossomed into love. Her friends wondered what changed, and she told them how lucky she is to finally have a man like Daniel. He is different, he is kind, gentle, and his love for me is pure. Most importantly, his mother is dead. In fact, he is an only child and an orphan. I am so glad that I wouldn't have any of his family members to put up with. Just that he has an aunt that took after his parents' responsibility of taking care of him after they passed. As time went on, Daniel proposed to Vivian and she accepted to marry him, believing that his mother's passing meant no threat to her happiness. The wedding day arrived and it was a beautiful celebration. Vivian wore a gown that shimmered like moonlight and Daniel looked dashing in a dark suit. Their vows were exchanged under a canopy of roses, with friends and family gathered to witness their union. After the ceremony, the newlyweds moved into a cozy home on the outskirts of town, a place where they could build their future together. A few months later, Vivian took in. She was worried about who would take care of her because her mother is no more and she is the only daughter. Daniel told her his aunt would be coming to help out whenever the baby arrived. Vivian was not happy in any way. Her life experience made her scared of what might happen if her husband's aunt starts living with them. But Daniel assured her of his undying love for her and promised her he would always be on her side. During her pregnancy journey, Daniel's aunt visited often, always bringing gifts, cooking meals, and offering advice. She showered Vivian with love, treating her as though she were her own daughter. Vivian had a baby boy, and Daniel's aunt moved in with them. She took good care of Vivian and her new baby. Vivian was grateful for the warmth and support. She had been nervous about having a mother-in-law, but Daniel's aunt was nothing like the stories she had heard or what she had seen about controlling mothers. She was patient, understanding, and encouraging. Vivian felt blessed to be a part of the family. For the first time in her life, she experienced what it felt like to have a mother. One evening, as Vivian was walking in the garden, she overheard a conversation between Daniel and his aunt. Daniel's voice was low and filled with emotions. "I wish you could see how happy she makes me, Mom. She is everything I've ever dreamed of. I know you are not happy that I presented you as my aunt, but Mom, please give me more time." "Daniel, I am tired of all this," his mother cried. "I am your mother, for Christ's sake. You know I am a good person and you are my only child. Why are you denying me this opportunity to be happy and enjoy my first grandchild? I don't have any reason to maltreat your wife." Vivian froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The realization struck her like a bolt of lightning. The woman was not Daniel's aunt, but his mother. Vivian's mind raced. Could it be that Daniel had lied to me? "Daniel," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Is it true? Is she your mother?" Daniel's face fell, and he nodded, guilt written all over him. "Vivian, I am so sorry. I should have told you the truth. I lied because I feared losing you. She is my mother, my real mother." Vivian's heart felt heavy with confusion. She had been so sure of her rule, but now everything seemed tangled in a web of love, lies, and trust. She couldn't deny the deep affection she felt for Daniel and the warmth she had felt from his mother. But what about the promise she had made to herself? After a long silence, Vivian finally spoke. "Daniel, I don't know what to think. You have shown me a love that is pure, and your mother have treated me with nothing but kindness. I don't know why you kept the truth from me, but my rule stands. Daniel, my sanity means so much to me. I don't need a mother-in-law." As she made to go, Daniel's mother ran to her and held her tight. "My daughter, I am very sorry that we deceived you. When Daniel told me about you and his plan, I was angry and refused. But I took my time and visited the FMC 3 times, and everyone I met has something good to say about you. I agreed to play along. Please, my dear, forgive me. Forgive us. But if I may ask, why will a beautiful lady like you make such decisions?" "Mama, this rule came from the horrible experience I had since childhood. My mother, a kind and gentle soul, had passed away when I was young as a result of the wickedness my father melted out on her, driven by the influence and expectations of his overbearing mother. Grandma dealt with our mom. My mother was never happy. She tried all she could to please Grandma, but Grandma was never happy with her. She lived her life for Grandma. We, her children, were not exempted because we constantly collected beatings and curses for Grandma. We all lived in fear. One day, Mom was cooking and somehow slept off when Grandma angrily emptied the pot of hot water on her. She cried for help, but Grandma didn't help her. My brother called the neighbors to help and take her to the hospital, and that was the last day we saw our mother. She died from that accident. I was so heartbroken. I developed a very deep hatred for my father and his entire family from that day. It was okay for him to do anything to keep his mother and make her happy. A happiness he gave her at the expense of our mother's life. He needed his mother but never thought of the fact that we, his children, needed our own mother too. From that day, I made the decision that nothing would make me marry a man whose mother is still alive. The trauma of what my mother went through is still very fresh in my mind. Daniel's mom cried as Vivian narrated her story. "My daughter," she said, as she came close to Vivian, "I know you are deeply hurt. and I don't blame you for taking such harsh decision. Please, give me a chance to love you, to show you that not every mother-in-law is wicked and mean like your grandmother. Daniel took her hands in his eyes filled with sincerity. I love you, Vivian. I love you more than anything in this world. I never wanted to break your heart, but now that you know, all I ask is for a chance to prove that I was only trying to protect what we have. Vivian looked into his eyes, and in that moment, she realized something. The true test of love wasn't about rules or expectations. It was about forgiveness, understanding, and the courage to embrace the unknown. I don't know if I can forget the lie, she said slowly, but I can try. I believe in us, Daniel, and in what we build together. I forgive you. Mama has been so nice to me, but please, nobody should tell me to forgive my father, because I won't forgive him. If it was okay for us to grow without a mother, then it's okay for him to age and die without his children by his side. As the years passed, Vivian often reflected on her role. She realized that love, in all its forms, could never be confined by the walls of rules, and that the best things in life comes when we let go of our expectations and trust in the unknown. Vivian's heart, once bound by a rule, was now free to love without fear, knowing that love, above all else, was the greatest healer, and that sometimes the greatest love stories are those that come from the most unexpected places. Moral lesson. The story teaches that love is not bound by rigid rules or expectations. While it is natural to have personal beliefs and fears, true love is built on trust, forgiveness, and the willingness to embrace the unexpected. Sometimes, our deepest fears or past experiences can shape our decisions, but when we open our hearts and allow ourselves to let go of those fears, we may find that love comes in unexpected forms, teaching us the power of understanding, compassion, and the beauty of accepting others as they are. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you are coming across my channel for the first time, please subscribe to my channel to support my growth. Subscription is free. And to my subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate your kindness. Do not forget to on your notification bell for more interesting stories from Amaka's Folk Tales. Bye bye.